All right, welcome to Writing Workshop. Today is Monday, March 30th. So today, writers, you're going to be jotting what you know about your topic and reviewing your notes, and then you're going to consider ways that that information could be organized into different chapters on your topic. So how is this going to work? So first of all, hopefully in your reading workshop, you've already jotted down some notes about your topic because you're going to use those notes to help you. But you might have some other background knowledge about your topic, so you could also jot down that. Once you've done that, you want to think about, well, how do these main ideas connect, and what could the subtopics of your main ideas be? Once you've done that work, you can start thinking about how you can organize your writing. What information seems like it could be put in the beginning, what could be put towards the middle or the end, and then finally creating an outline of what your research report draft is going to look like when you go to draft this. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how I did this work with my own topic. All right, so step one, jotting down what you know about the topic, or reviewing your notes. So from our read aloud today, I had a lot of different main ideas from the text that we read about the Trail of Tears. So one of my main ideas was about how the Cherokee were pushed out and how Native Americans were killed by diseases. And then it sort of talked about how the Trail of Tears was really brutal. There's a lot of really terrible things that the Native Americans had to go through on the Trail of Tears. And then later in the article, it sort of talked about how the United States continued to be very brutal to the Native Americans and how the Native Americans were. So that's what I learned about the Trail of Tears. But I want to think about, for my research report, how do my main ideas connect, and what could be the subtopics of my main ideas? So here we go in step two. I'm going to just take these two main ideas because I feel like they kind of connect together. The Cherokee were pushed out, and the disease that killed the Native Americans. I'm thinking that it kind of talks a little bit about what led up to the Trail of Tears. So white settlers kind of took the land and pushed the Cherokee out even before the Trail of Tears, right? They were pushed into like that little tiny part of Georgia, of northwestern Georgia. And then also disease had already killed a lot of these Native Americans. So I'm going to take those two ideas here and create a subtopic. And it's going to be what led up to the Trail of Tears. It's going to be one of the subtopics. And I'm going to talk about how white settlers took the land and how disease killed off the Native Americans. And so I'm going to think about that. Now, I also want to talk about the Trail of Tears. So the beginning of the Trail of Tears was an Indian Removal Act of 1830. So the Trail of Tears, I'm going to talk about that, and then where they were forced to live, right? We saw those maps. They're forced into what they considered the desert, west of the Mississippi River. So I definitely want to include that under my subtopic of the Trail of Tears, those two things. So you see how I did that? I kind of looked at these main ideas and I sort of decided I've got two subtopics that I could pull from these main ideas. One is about the Trail of Tears, what led up to it, and the other one is the Trail of Tears itself. But you know what? I'm thinking I'm not done with the Trail of Tears. I think there's some other ideas that I could probably add to it from this other main idea here. So I want to include this idea that the Army put the Cherokee in the prison, right? And then also that they forced the Cherokee to walk from Georgia to Oklahoma in bad weather. So that's all part of the Trail of Tears. But you know what? When I looked over here and I thought about the Trail of Tears being brutal, there were these two other bullets here. Death from hunger and exposure and disease, and that 1/4 of the Cherokee population died from the Trail of Tears. So I was thinking, you know what? I think this could be its own subtopic. Honestly, like this seems really significant, really important, and I want to make its own subtopic when I go to write about it. So I'm going to say the consequences of the Trail of Tears. Ways that people died and the amount of people who died. And I have like some more ideas like I think I'd like to research here. So I want to make that its own thing so that I could add on to it. All right, so that was step two, how my main ideas connect and what could the subtopics of my main ideas be. I did that work. Now I can move on to step 3 where I want to think, how can I organize my writing? What information seems like it should be in the beginning? What should be put at the end? What's going to go in the middle? So here are like the 3 subtopics I have: what led up to the Trail of Tears, the Trail of Tears, and the consequences of the Trail of Tears. And so I got to think about, I could just put these in order. I could say, okay, well, this is what led up to the Trail of Tears. Then next I'm going to put, this is all about the Trail of Tears. And then here are the consequences of the Trail of Tears. But you know what? I really want to grab my reader's attention. And I think something that would really grab their attention is if I talked about right at the very beginning why we're even learning about the Trail of Tears. I want to, like, boom, talk about the consequences. I think I'm going to put that one first because I want people to know that this is something that was really important, that they should pay attention to. So I'm going to be writing about the consequences, the ways that people died, the amount of people who died, and maybe anything else I can find out about, like the consequences of the Trail of Tears. When I'm done with that, I think I'm going to go and talk about what led up to the Trail of Tears. Like, how did this even start to begin? I'm going to go there, and then finally I'll talk about the actual Trail of Tears and the experiences of the Native Americans on that. So I'm done with step 3. I thought through how I'm going to organize my writing. What am I going to be putting in the beginning, maybe towards the middle and the end? Now I need to come up with the outline. Step 4, create an outline of your research report draft. And this is where I've just jotted down what's going to come first, second, and third in my outline. So I'm going to talk about the consequences of the Trail of Tears, and this is the things I'm going to talk about in the order I'm going to talk about them. Then I'm going to talk about what led up to the Trail of Tears, and I'm not quite sure what order to put those 2 things in, so I kind of left them without a number there, because I'm not quite sure if white settlers took their land first or if disease killed the Native Americans first, so I'm going to do a little more research before I maybe decide about that, or maybe I'll have to go through and edit it a little bit once I get more information. But then on the Trail of Tears, I think the article I read was pretty clear that these were kind of like the steps that happened. So I definitely will include all of those things when I go to write about the Trail of Tears. And that's my outline. So now I'm going to spend some time tonight probably reading another article about the Trail of Tears and seeing where I could maybe fit some more information into this outline. And then tomorrow I'll be all ready to go to write about this. So now you are going to have a chance to go and do this work yourself. You are going to jot down what you know about the topic. You know, you read an article this morning. Maybe you could review your notes, okay? And then you're going to think, how do those main ideas connect? What could the subtopics of those main ideas be? Not every main idea is going to be its own section of your research report. You know, some main ideas could connect together, or some details from different main ideas could come together to make a subtopic. You got to think about that. And then you got to think about, well, how are you going to organize your writing? What information seems like it would be logical to put in the beginning? Maybe what seems like maybe I want to put towards the end. You know, this doesn't have to be the most perfect thing. It can be messy. It just has to show that you are doing this work and you're really thinking about this topic really deeply. And then finally, you want to create an outline of your research report draft. So when you go to do this assignment, I'm expecting you to, in the document that's been created for you, to go through and show this work. I'm looking to see that you have an outline of your research report draft completed there in the Google document. Okay, that's all for now. Bye.